ladies and gentlemen? I'm Madison Rich, and this is UCC Talk 24. And here on this channel, we're all about the UCC, public and private rights, giving the people knowledge and education to enrich themselves. So today, we're going to talk about House Joint Resolutions 192. And we also have my co-host with me here today. His name is Shatik Ferguson. Okay, and I'm going to be asking them some questions on these topics when it comes to the 1099s, the House Joint Resolutions 192, the Emergency Banking Act, things of that nature when it comes to discharging your debt and the reason why you can discharge your debt. So, Shatik, introduce yourself. Let the people
Hello everybody, my name is Shatik Ferguson, like you said. I'm joining them today to talk about House Joint Resolution and basically why that even is in existence. So, after doing some extensive studies and research, I find that House Joint Resolutions 192, June 5th, 1933, currency was now being backed by the labor of the people, and gold and silver was taken out of circulation as a backing by Federal Reserve notes or receipts. So, House Joint Resolution, what it did was incorporate the people of the America. It gave out Social Security numbers, which was connected to the Federal Reserve banking system as an exemption account to pay back the people for their labor, because technically we are in bankruptcy since 1933. The current bills or whatever you see floating around as currency now is still considered to be legal tender as long as it is accepted for its value, face for face. So a quarter will be accepted for a quarter, a dollar for a dollar, as long as those are the accepted transactions and it's considered to be legal tender. Also, paper that are considered as legal tender is promissory notes, bills of exchange, and things of that nature. With this operation and the people not being able to receive any retribution for their labor, they give out promissory notes as a promise to pay, or what we call Federal Reserve notes. With everybody waking up and everyone's eyes are being open, we're looking at House Joint Resolution as our basis to implement our redemption, because we can now prove that the United States is broke and more or less they owe us, we don't owe them. And that's where the process begins.
Okay, guys. So, I'm here on this.
And that's where the process begins.
Okay, guys. So, I'm here on this site. I'm on this site where I have this document from the Freeman lawyer. All right, to give you a little understanding about House Joint Resolutions 192. Okay, so I'm gonna start off. I'm gonna read, and then we can discuss the things in the document. Okay, 31 USC 511A D2 is House Joint Resolutions 192 of June 5th, 1933, codified in the statutes and codes as part of Roosevelt's New Deal, which was no deal at all. By this fact, it has been put into administrative procedures. I use that word because the U.S. corporation only has bylaws, not laws, applicable only to its sub-corporations, aka employees, U.S. citizen or taxpayers, and the like, also known as the straw man, corporation, ens legis, extraneous homo, person, individual, fictional entity, or as a trust, whereby you are the trustee for a non-disclosed, aka implied resulting trust, meaning by your actions alone. So what you do or don't do can create an implied trust, agreement, contract, resulting in a trust relationship. In this case, it is void because it is unconscionable, which means no one in their right mind would have entered that contract whereby you were giving no consideration. Could also be void for lack of consideration and non-disclosure to you. All contracts must have consideration. You hear that? All contracts must have consideration from both parties, as labor is consideration. You hear that? We're just talking about everything was backed by the labor of the people. So you see, labor is consideration. So is autographing your name, including forbearance. Also, contracts may only exist with clean hands, with truth and full disclosure, or there is no meeting or joining of. You see, labor is consideration. So is autographing your name, including forbearance. Also, contracts may only exist with clean hands, with truth and full disclosure, or there is no meeting or joining of the minds. Okay? 31 USC section 5118 D2 provided for many years that a requirement of repayment of debt in a particular kind, coin or currency, could be made by legal tender. As of October 21, 1977, legal tender for discharge of debt is no longer required. Let me say that again. As of October 21, 1977, legal tender for discharge of debt is no longer required. That is because legal tender is not in circulation at par, right, with the promises to pay credit. Negotiable Instruments Guaranteed Trust Company of New York versus Henwood, right, 1939, holds that 31 USC 5118 was enacted to remedy the specific evil of tying debt to any particular currency or requiring payment in a greater number of dollars than promised. Since October 27, 1977, there can be no requirement of repayment in legal tender either, since legal tender was not loaned and repayment not only be made in equivalent kind, a negotiable instrument representing credit. Okay, so let me read that again. Since October 27, 1977, there can be no requirement of repayment in legal tender either, since legal tender was not loaned and repayment not only be made in equivalent kind, a negotiable instrument representing credit. Okay? Let me read the gold clause. 31 USC 5118. Gold clauses and consent to sue. D1. In this subsection, obligation means any obligation except United States currency payable in United States money. An obligation issued containing a gold clause or governed by a gold clause is discharged on payment, dollar for dollar, in the United States coin currency that is legal tender at the time of payment. This paragraph does not apply to an obligation issued after October 27, 1977. Okay, guys? So we're gonna talk a little bit about that. House joints resolutions, real quick. Okay. So Shatik. So what do you have to say?
It does not enslave the private citizen, because the private citizen, in order to be contracted, he must have a meeting of the mind. He must have a meeting of the mind. But outside of the real life breathing person, everything else is considered to be public fictions, unincorporated corporations that cannot speak for themselves. So these are considered to be legal tender between the public fiction. For the private, we have what we call other instruments that we use. Debt instruments that we acquire in order to build credit, because the private citizen is the creditor to the public debtor. Legal tender for discharge of debt. How do you create a debt, Madison?
You create a debt by a contract first.
Absolutely.
There must be a contract somewhere before before debt can be created. That's why when bill collectors come at you, you have a legal right to ask for debt validation. Basically saying, show me the contract, right? That gives you the right to receive payment for a bill presented.
A debtor is trying his duty, a creditor's duty, right? Is to give its credit out to create debt, right? So whoever wants to borrow credit, right? Once they get it, they have now got to spend it, and they create what? Debt to the who? Creditor, right?
Debt to the creditor.
So, in house joints resolution, it's basically saying that the United States is a corporation, right? So once you incorporate, you're already in debt, because you have to now pay out. But the people got to believe in this corporation enough to want to give up its energy, right? To get this corporation even alive. Right? So the corporation was relying on the labor, right? To push out its product. Right? So the corporation is creating debt to the people. But when he goes to pay the people, he's paying the people fictional debt, fictional instruments, public instruments, monopoly, the debt through their labor. Right? House joints resolution, the debt through their labor. Right? House joints resolution is to save their asses. Because of where we came now. Look where we're at. So when the people wake up and say, hold up, there's no money. So all of this, so then all of this is mine. You never pay, we operating in debt. So where's mines? So house joints resolutions and everything inside of it, if you can understand what it's saying, is your remedy, right? But some people utilize the remedy, right, as a redemption tool, and they're misusing it. Excuse me.
I think people have the redemption process backwards, or the understanding of the redemption process is kind of backwards, because you have sovereigns teaching people, become a secure party and file the UCC1 against the straw man and the like, right? But at the same token, they don't even understand what the meaning of a secure party is. And a secure party is just basically whichever one that gave the value first becomes the secure party in the transaction. Okay, so that means if I went to Shatik and said, I'm gonna loan you money to buy a house, right? And he receives it. I have given value, right? And he has received consideration. Now I have become secure in the transaction and have a security interest in the property that he's going to buy. So I am the secured party. You understand? So, Shatik, I want to ask you a couple of questions, right? As far as like mortgage companies and how they have switched the roles around. I remember we was talking about that before. All right. So how have the mortgage companies switched the rules around, and they have given the public an assumption that they are the creditors and the person that's buying the house is the debtor? Okay, so that's one example of how they switch the roles around in transactions. Okay, so they make it seem like they are the secure party and you are the debtor. So can you tell us how the mortgage companies switch the roles around in real estate transactions and have given the people the assumption that they are that the banks are the creditors and they are the debtors?
Because they're doing what we call like a bait and switch. Right? So they're basically the people who introduce you to people. You're the middleman, right? And they play this certain role.
Right.
So a person comes to you, asks you for the name at the bottom of the promissory note.
The underwriter.
So if your name is at the bottom of the promissory note, then the name at the bottom of the promissory note.
The underwriter.
So if your name is at the bottom of the promissory note, then the bill is already paid, because a promissory note is a promissory note. So if the bill is already paid, why are you still paying it back? Because it's looking like this company gave you the money to actually go and make the purchase. So now they look like the creditor, right? To your credit, they used your credit to give you a loan.
Ooh.
They used your signature,
right,
to get your money.
And where'd they go to get the money?
And then they took the money and they gave it to you, but they put a percentage on it just for doing the work for you. You know, you got to pay me this money back in this with interest just for us doing the work for you. And that's how contracts go. That's how the United States corporation runs, because all corporations must create debt. And when they create this debt is coming because they believe that the people are going to believe in what it is that this company is going to sell, and they're going to give this company their energy, right?
Right.
And this company is out with all of their energy, right? Company comes in debt. He has to start writing checks now, satisfying the debt. And you say, well, if the company was in debt, where did he get? Corporations must create debt. And when they create this debt, corporations must create debt. And when they create this debt is coming because they believe that the people are going to believe in what it is that this company is going to sell, and they're going to give this company their energy, right?
Right.
And this company is out with all of their energy, right? The company comes in debt. He has to start writing checks now, satisfying the debt. And you say, well, if the company was in debt, where did he get the money, right? To pay him.
Well, they all put their signatures on when they filled out this application and all of this stuff. Once he filed that, they backed his company. The signatures of the people, the labor of the people will back any corporation.
That's right. You heard it here. UCC Talk 24. All about the UCC, public and private rights. Stay tuned for more videos. You heard it here. UCC Talk 24. All about the UCC, public and private rights. Stay tuned for more videos.